All right, welcome everybody. Yes, I've been so excited about this call and I just welcome you with my heart wide open. So happy to be joining with you for what I think is probably one of the most important conversations and important discussions that we can be having right now. So first of all, Ralph, welcome. I just want to make sure, can you speak? I want to make sure we can hear your sound.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect.
Okay.
Where are you joining us from today?
I'm at Panera Breads. I'm outside.
Outside. Good. I
Yeah,
like,
it's a restaurant. It's a restaurant where you can eat inside or outside. So
yeah. Well, I think what would be great, first of all, I just want to welcome everyone that's on this call. There's many people joining through Facebook Live. There's actually quite a lot of people joining us right now live in the Zoom. And the more that we've been talking about this, actually something magical is happening. And it all started with Ralph, actually, with his heart, with his life, his soul has gone on such a path that it's bringing us all along with it. And you're inspiring us so much to want to join you, Ralph, on this journey. So maybe what I want to do, first of all, is just say welcome everyone. Welcome. I see Esther Francis is here. Welcome Carol and Larry. So good to see you. Janet, welcome. Andrea, so good to see you on the call. Lynn, I love having you here. Melissa, Arshia, oh great. We got Arlene here, heart dancer. Fantastic. I know Jana is joining us soon. And I know a lot of other people are very interested, very passionate, very much understand. Dr. Naram, this was his, this was one of his big areas in his heart. Part of what the ancient secrets are is about how to help yourself with physical, mental, emotional challenges, but it's also beyond that. When you have your health, what will you do? He says a big question is, what do you want? And what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with the time that you have, with the health that you have, with the energy that you have? And he would always say, there's so many issues happening on the planet, and either you're a part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And what I love about you who are here right now joining this call is you are so clearly part of the solution. And what I love about having this moment is that Ralph has invited us with his heart to join him in a very real look. Sometimes we want to help, but we don't really know what's happening. We don't really know what are the needs, and we don't really know what is the challenges. And I want to say Ralph is such a great example of awesomeness in so many areas. Not only is he an accomplished musician, uh, playing jazz, a bass, not a bass, a bass guitar, a bass guitar. Can you imagine? Okay, bass guitar, and helping backstage at the Philharmonic and so many things, but also an artist. Actually, I would love to show. This is so fun. Ralph, are you going to be embarrassed if I show a little bit of your art? Would that be okay?
it's okay.
Okay, I just want to
It's
just
okay.
this is something that he did. I'm not sure in what time period of your life you were doing this art, but I just so fun.
It, it was in the 90s,
In the 90s.
early to late, early to middle 90s.
Wow, that's so cool. And tell us about this stage of your life. What were you doing and what was happening?
That stage of my life, I was working Broadway productions, Schubert Theater out in New York, but I was based in Los Angeles. So we did a lot of premieres like Sunset Boulevard, uh, I can't think of all. I did so many Broadway shows, The Chorus Line, Rent. Um, we did a lot of shows. We did a lot of shows.
Oh, that's so fun.
Um,
Now tell us about this artwork.
well, this was like during the time when I was like in and out of animation.
Yeah.
Um, this was just like a dog that I came up with. Um, I call the dog Sin Dog because the dog was very sinful, had a very sinful type of attitude and mentality. Um, this was just kind of like a semi-finished model sheet because you do model sheets when you do animation, you do all the different views, so forth.
Yeah. So musician, artist, not only that, but also very skilled. He has so many medical books and a wide variety of medical knowledge, and specifically focusing on a lot of the ancient Chinese medicinal herbs and the Ayurvedic and the ancient Indian herbs. And it's so fun because even during the 100-day course, when I asked Ralph what his favorite part was, you want to talk about your favorite challenge activity, Ralph?
Well, my favorite one was dissecting um, viral flight, dissecting 3 of the ingredients in viral flight, and really finding out that they were all a part of not only the Ayurvedic family, but the botanical family and Western medicine and Chinese medicine. They
Yeah.
have botanical names, they have pharmaceutical names, and they have pinyin names. So once you find out what the pharmaceutical name is, you can kind of like trace it all the way into Chinese medicine and beyond.
Yeah. What I love
And it
in
does the same thing. It does the same thing. It's just the dosages are a little different.
Hmm.
And the preparation of the herbs are a little different.
Ralph has taken a lot of time in his life to study different herbs and what they do. Even the ingredients of the Hmong soup, the recipe that's in the book. He's like, he was telling me certain things about those ingredients, especially kokum. Actually, you want to talk about kokum a little bit? Because it's so fun to hear about it.
I think that one, to me, that is one of the main ingredients. It's like the grunt of all the herbs in the mung bean soup, because it suppresses your appetite, and it really is good for, I hear people in the organization saying that they lose weight. This is the herb that really triggers you to lose that weight
Yeah.
in the soup. And I mean, you look at it, it just looks like dried up pieces of prunes or whatever, but it's a major herb. And the textbook that I have at school for Ayurvedic herbs, they have 2 pages written on this particular herb.
And
Two
kokum.
pages.
Yeah. Amazing. I want to see, just to raise a hands, who knew that about kokum in the Hmong soup? Anyone else know that? No, so you're just discovering this. Even I'm learning as I'm listening to Ralph. And I love that he's gone so much depth about like all the ingredients in the Hmong soup, what it does and how it helps. And it's like when you educate yourself in that way, you start to see the world differently. And what's unique is that now that he's been, actually, do you want to talk about the situation lately about the housing situation that you had and where you're at now and some of the people that you've been meeting on the streets and what it's been triggering in your mind and your heart?
Well, the housing situation that I had previously had, um, I believe the gentleman, I was going to move eventually before COVID. I was going to leave probably within a year's time, but COVID kind of like interfered with that move. Um, I started realizing that the person that I was renting from had some type of, seemed to be bipolar. Um, you never knew what his personality was going to be from day to day. So, situation came down that my union was going to pay 2 months rent. Um, for some reason or other, he wanted cash, and I tried to explain to him that the local does not give us cash. They will issue him a check. For some reason, he was paranoid about it. Um, he didn't want to get in any trouble. Um, the rep basically told me he's not going to get in any trouble. They're just going to issue him a check for the money, and that's going to be it. So I think he had, because he's not he's an African, he's a French African. I think he may not be legal. I don't know what his situation is, but he's very paranoid. He lost his job. He's laid off now. So um, he refused to talk to the labor representative who was responsible for issuing the check. So finally, when he talked to her, she explained some things to him, but he bugged her so much. He called her, I think, one day, 3 or 4 times one day, and then he came back. Sometimes he would be cool about it, and sometimes he would just go off. he would just lose his temper and go off, right? So I think what it was when he threatened me, I just said, well, okay, that's when I decided I better like leave because my evil side was beginning to come out. And it was best for me to leave because I don't play games when people threaten, you know.
Yeah, no.
And the best thing I could do was my buddy, I called up a friend of mine, he was going to help me move out that Wednesday. And he couldn't do it, so we did it that Thursday. I ended up getting a van, but guy just kept talking. I just closed the door, kept myself in the room, so I wouldn't end up going to jail. That's it.
Well, you know yourself, and I love your honesty, and I love your authenticity. And I know a lot of people in this call just really value the position you're in right now in the unique way. You know, in the book, Dr. Ram talks about a Diti Devo Baba, to treat the unexpected guest as if God himself or herself has come. Now, this situation you weren't expecting. You weren't
No,
expecting
no.
to be in and out of a motel, on the street, sometimes sleeping in front of different places, or, but what is the gift of it for you? What has the gift been for you, and what have you learned so far?
It's a free course in psychology.
A free course in psychology. I like that.
Because I can, like last night, okay, I made mention the fact that young women are very vulnerable out here. I've been like dealing with a young lady when I leave the gym, and I'm beginning to know her, right? So I've been giving her money for food and whatnot. She's very articulate. She shouldn't be out there. She's very vulnerable. So to tie all this in, last night when I left Panera's, this guy he was pushing a shopping cart. He comes up to me, he says, do you know where I can find some, he wanted to get involved sexually with some females.
Mm.
And I'm looking at him like, he's pushing a shopping cart. And it started flashing back in my mind about this young woman. Fortunately, she's in Hollywood. I'm up in the valley. But I can imagine if he was in Hollywood and he saw her, God knows what would have happened with her, right?
Mm.
So Shauna gave me some information to give to her. I didn't see her yesterday. I saw her this morning when I left the gym, and I said, hey, here's some money for food, and here's an address where you can go to get off the streets for a while. It's for young people. I mean, I think she's like in her late 20s or whatnot, but she was very appreciative. She's coherent.
Mm.
But it's like a walking couch out here.
Mm.
You talk to people, and some of them are like, you don't know what caused them what triggered them to come out here. Like yesterday, it was an older lady. She told me she had been all on the streets off and on for 17 years. She has family, but she doesn't want her family to know about it.
Mm.
So, I
When I'm
gave her some assistance with food and so forth. But it's a free psychology class. You don't have to go to a college or junior college. Just come out here for maybe a week.
when I'm looking at the numbers online, it says that in 2020 there was more than 64,000 homeless people in LA. As of last year, the count was 66,436. And when the numbers get that big, sometimes it's just easy to clump it as a group or as a number or as a category. But what I love about what you said is, you said the most important thing, actually, maybe could you repeat that as well? One of the most important things people can do is not see them as something outside. Can you repeat that? How you said that was so beautiful.
Don't look at them as just being mannequins. They're human beings. They're human beings. They're someone's, could be someone's mother, could be someone's father, brother, sister. It could be a relationship, could be your own relative out there. So you have to think about it when you see them, and when they approach you, you have to have a sense of compassion when they approach you, because um, you realize that could be you, you know.
Yeah, you know, this really is so poignant because even one of the stories Dr. Ram shared was when he was a young man, he got in an argument with his father and he was kicked out of his home. And he, you know, you never know who you're going to meet sleeping on the streets. And if you were on that night in Mumbai and walking on the streets and finding someone sleeping homeless on the streets, you would have seen this man, Dr. Naram. You know, you never know who's on the streets. And he said he was so cold that night, so cold. And he was shivering and angry and hurt and feeling like betrayed and feeling lonely, you know, all these mix of emotions. And as he was sleeping that night, freezing, shivering, some stranger put a blanket on him. He didn't even wake up when the blanket was put on him. He just woke up in the morning and saw someone had put a blanket on him. You know, and he just blessed that person. He'll never know who that was, you know, but he just was blessing that person that symbolically gave him faith again in humanity, you know, gave him faith that he wasn't alone, gave him
Mhm.
faith that he wasn't abandoned, you know, gave him faith that people care. Even if it's not your family of origin, there we have a family of choice and that you're not alone. And I think through that is why at the end of all the clinics, you know, at the end of the last clinic in different cities, we'd go and we'd find homeless and we make sure we put blankets on them, make sure they had water, make sure we actually took certain herbs with us, herbal healing cream, some of the Wonder Secret cream, things that if they had a wound or if they had a cut, we could help them. And what I love about what Ralph, your unique position, being where you are and your unique skill, your life history, and your caring heart is one of the things you said that really impacted me is you're able to see what are the things that they're struggling with, not just psychologically, but also physically, the things they're eating and the things they're not eating. And what about home remedies that could help? You know, what about different food we could introduce that would be healthier than some of the stuff they're eating? Do you want to talk about that? Some of the dis-ease that you're noticing and what kind of things that have been going through your mind, questions about how we can help.
Well, in terms of food, let's just start, you know, with hygiene. I thank Ashana for, I'm supposed to get with her and pick up some, at least a dozen kits to pass out, you know, health kits, you know,
Is that
hygiene
Arshia?
kit. Yeah, Ashana, yeah,
Arshia,
yeah.
fantastic.
Ashia,
Arshia,
Ashia.
I'm just gonna bring you on spotlight. Thank you so much. Yeah,
So
Arshia.
we're gonna get together probably Friday if she has time. I'm gonna pick them up and pass them out to the people that I, you know, run into. That's the main thing that they have. Um, a place to shower, since most of the showers in Santa Monica on the beach are pretty much shut down because of COVID. Um, a lot of them need clothes and socks and so forth.
Mm,
You know, they wear the same clothes every single day. I mean, you know, um, Grand Park in downtown LA, fortunately, the bathrooms, it's just one bathroom is open because the other part of the park is being renovated. Um, so you see them in there washing whatever items they have, whatever clothing they have in the sink, you know,
mm,
socks, shirts, and they hang them out to dry. They, you know, the patrol doesn't really bother them in the park at all. You know, they allow them to go in the bathroom. They don't really mess it up. They don't, you know, it's just maybe water on the sinks and whatnot, but that's how they wash their clothes, you know.
mm.
Um, in terms of restrooms, fortunately, that if there are some restrooms that are open, the public restrooms that they can go to. Um, a lot of the restaurants now have coded restrooms. So if you don't know the code, that's it. And
Mm.
like a lot of these people, when they come in to use the restroom, they are ushered out very politely. No, you can't use the restroom because they have so many bags. A lot of them are wheeling shopping carts, hand trucks with items, you name it. You know, they got everything in the world that they own with them.
Yeah,
And they don't have, see, I'm fortunate enough to have a gym membership, so I don't have to worry about hygiene.
yeah, yeah.
You
You
know,
have
and
a
a
place
lot
to
of
go
them
to
don't.
shower.
A lot
Yeah.
of them don't. A lot of them don't have gym memberships. In terms of food, whoa, a lot of the churches were open. The mission downtown is not open. I noticed that quite a few of them have food stamps, which affords them to go in to grocery stores and buy whatever they want. But their choices are not always the healthiest choices in terms of food. That's something that would be educational for them, because a lot of them have, high blood pressure, edema, and other modalities. Even though they have the advantage of buying food with food stamps, they still have these modalities. So educating them on, fruits, nuts, they're very, they're filling, and at the same time, they are healthy. A handful of almonds or a handful of cashews can really give you the protein that you need for the day. There are drinks that they can buy other than the sugary sodas, which really just dehydrates. Coffee dehydrates. Water probably would be one of the main things to supply them with too.
Beautiful. I want to come back to this, Ralph, but I just want to say, I'm seeing some messages in the chat from people who can really relate to you and have had their own experiences, their own stories. And I just want to say the purpose of this call is to really brainstorm what's something practical we can do, even if it's simple and on a small scale, just to start doing something that can make a real difference. So everyone who's listening, as you're listening to Ralph's story, as you're listening to maybe some of these other stories, maybe you'll have an idea, maybe you'll have an inspiration. Maybe together we can find some way to support one of the great ideas that Ralph has. So we're going to go into solutions in a second, but first, just let's hear from a couple people who can relate. I know Esther Francis, you posted something about your experience. I know, tell us, as you were listening to Ralph, what did it trigger in your mind, in your heart?
Well, it's been a major challenge to keep the joy in the heart open in the midst of so much suffering for those of us that love and care so deeply and feel and know that this is a situation of consciousness. It doesn't have to be this way. And one of the ways that I've responded is that we have local Food Not Bombs, which provides food 7 days a week. And on Sundays, I volunteer at the farmers market collecting, food that we can take down. My friend drives down to where somebody else cooks it and it goes to people. And it's a challenge. It involves doing what we can to write the letters and speak to the local government, who sometimes are the most stubborn and difficult people to deal with. But I think there's so many levels to this, but what Ralph said about that contact is so important. And I just a little story. Trader Joe's, somebody bumped into my car, to my bumper, and I didn't see it. And I came to get in my car to leave, and this man approaches me who turned out to be homeless. And he tells me what happened. And we wait, and he gets the license number. Anyhow, long story short, because of his kindness and generosity, I was able to, deal with the situation, get insurance to cover it, the whole deal. And now whenever we see each other, and then when I do see him, I especially the first time after I saw him, not only was there the recognition of heart to heart and soul to soul, but because I got insurance back, I was able to give him more than I ordinarily would. It's really that realization that everybody is us. It's that expansion of identity, that we're not this little I, we're what I call the whole holy whole, and that's everyone.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And Esther, I see that even you shared about how there's a period of a couple months where you were without a home and you were in transition.
Oh, Yeah, last year around this time, what happened is that the place I rented, the woman's plan was to travel all year. I didn't know her. And I took her because the situation I was in was really challenging. Well, it turned out, of course, with COVID, she couldn't. And it turned out, bless her soul, but she had no interest in even being friendly. The whole time we shared that space, she didn't even want to have a meal together. And there was a misunderstanding and she blew up in my face. I was so freaked out. I hadn't experienced anything like that since I was a very young person with an alcoholic mother. And she offered to pay me extra money to get rid of me in the middle of COVID. And I wound up, just my intuition said, go for it. Put all my stuff in, a place, whatever the storage. And fortunately, my son was able to find me a place next to where he lived for a month, but I didn't know anything beyond that. Then fortunately, a friend had a situation arise where she had to go to the East Coast and she offered me to take care of her cat and stay in her place for a month. But while this was all going on, I did not know. It was all a journey in trust and being in the moment.
Mm.
And then it just worked out that a friend saw what another friend had posted on the local community. And the woman that I used to rent for from 5 years ago, she got wind of it. She saw it and she said, oh my God, Esther still doesn't have a place. Contacted me and we figured out something where I could be where I am now. But that was tentative. We didn't know how it would work. Fortunately, it worked out. And that's what I'm hoping for you, Ralph, that this is going to be that Titi Bava moment where beyond what we could have ever figured out through our own, kind of little egoic consciousness, that this greater healing can happen both for you and because of this, that this can be the seed of unfolding something none of us maybe have thought about how we can truly make a difference in this situation, which I don't know the answer to, but I know that there is greater answering than we've come up with so far. And
So beautiful, Esther. And I love your coming with your open heart saying, I don't know the answer, but I want to be a part of the solution.
yes,
That's a powerful place. And I think it's where so many of us are. And that's why, Ralph, your presence gives us hope. And I see other people, even Janet so beautifully was sharing, we never know the moment that brings us to a point of need. And she was talking in the chat about, leaving a very difficult marriage with a bipolar partner and not knowing if she's going to end up living in a van for how long, and none of us know that the path our lives can take. There's a quote at the end of the book that I put from Gandhi, and Gandhi says that when any one of us as humans, we're more connected than we realize, and any one of us is suffering, all of us suffer to that same extent. And on the other hand, when any of us is helped or has a victory, all of us have the victory to that same extent. And so, Ralph, you're a microcosm of the macrocosm, and Janet and Esther and all of us. And the fact that we're all showing up saying, I don't know exactly the right thing to do, but I want to be a part of the solution. And through this can help all of us benefit. It's a really powerful place to be. I know, Ralph, when we did that Facebook Live video a few days ago last week, so many people showed up in such a beautiful way. Arshia, so powerfully showing up. Jody Curtis showing up. Jana, on her own birthday, instead of thinking of herself, she was thinking of you. And then through thinking of you, through helping so many other people. And then Lynn, who's on this call, Lynn sent me a beautiful message. She's like, I think Ralph is going to be amazing. I want to get his autograph now. Is there any way you can get me his autograph? So I just feel like, this is the place where the rubber meets the road. And this is the true hero moment for all of us, to really step into a possibility to help in a way that actually makes a difference. Ralph, as you're hearing Esther speak, or you're hearing any of these other things, anything you want to respond, or anything in your heart?
Well, one of my buddies in the gym yesterday, we were talking about this subject, and it was friend of his, he knew that was living in a garage next door to him. And the person told him that he would have to leave the garage. The garage was pretty much set up like an apartment, you know. It wasn't used for parking vehicles. I'm assuming that the individual that owned the garage property wanted to convert it into a garage to store his vehicle. So he told the gentleman that he had to leave, right? So Dave, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, ran into the same guy, this friend of his, at the service station because he was sleeping in his car. And he asked him how he was doing. Like, he says, well, he didn't expect to be sleeping in his car on the streets of LA. He says, like, it was not, it hasn't been a very pleasant experience for him. So they pumped his gas, finished pumping his gas, and he gave him $20. He says, here, man, you know, like, yeah, here's something to get, you know, get you through. Because a lot of people that go out, that are out here, don't know about the resources that are available. They don't know about the food stamps that are available, you know. This guy sleeping in his car probably had enough money to get himself a gym membership. He's not realizing, hey, you know, maybe I can get a gym membership or a 7-day pass, which might lead to a membership, which will help him keep his hygiene together. You know, a lot of people out here are not really that cognizant of what's available, even though it is, you know, it's COVID right now. They are, you know, there are some things available for them, you know.
Yeah, this is a really powerful point. Sometimes it's just making people aware of what's already available. I know Poonam contacted you, Arshia. Jaina came up with some really cool contacts that shared some amazing stuff about food. And I want you to share about that in a little bit, Jaina, too. I'm thinking about, you know, we talked about this on the call with Yumi and Jody. There's the physical needs people have, and then there's the deeper needs. You know, there's the emotional, spiritual connection needs. And actually, is it okay, Ralph, if I share that story about the man who is going to Mexico and trying to help? I just want to share this story one time, because this changed my perspective about helping people. So many times we want to go and help, but we want to help in the way we want to help, you know? But what do they actually need? And so I heard this story from one of my friends that went to Mexico, and there's such a poor community that was really struggling. They didn't have clean water. They didn't have good education. They didn't have good, you know, medical care. There was like so many problems. And he had about $2,000 that he just wanted to gift them. But he says, I wanted to make the most difference possible. So he said to the community leaders, he says, you know, you should decide where this money goes, not me, because you know, where's it needed the most. And so if you want to, you can discuss and find out. They said, well, can you leave the room while we discuss? He's like, well, okay. You know, so he left the room and they discussed. And after about an hour, 2 hours, they found out what they really wanted. And he went back in the room. They said, we decided what we really want. We want to throw a big party and we want to have a mariachi band there. And he's like, really? What? You know, he's like, you need clean water. You need medicine, you need education. They're like, no, you said we could decide, and this is what we decided. So he's like, okay, I guess I did. So you decided. So he goes and they invite him back to when they have the party, and there's the chips and the salsa that came from his money and the food that came from his money, the big party, and there's the mariachi band. And he's like, they weren't even that good, but everyone was so happy. You know, they're so happy to have a mariachi band playing. And one of the leaders pulled him aside when they could tell he was looking a little disappointed, you know, that this is like the whole sum of what he did. And he's like, you don't understand. They said to my friend, you don't understand. Every city, every community that's any community has a mariachi band, and we've never had a mariachi band. And so this is the heart and soul. And you know what's amazing? He went back 6 months, 10 months later, and they had solved every other problem on their own, without any outside funding. You know, because they had an identity and they believed in themselves. And it was so beautiful. I was thinking about that. You know, sometimes what I love about what Ralph is doing is he's listening to people. You know, I was just reviewing the book, and in chapter 5, I think it is, Dr. Naram says the greatest need in human history isn't love, but it's understanding. It's someone understanding them, someone seeing you fully for you. And I thought, we all have our talents and gifts we can share. I'm planning on, when I start doing clinics again, I want me and Ralph, we're going to go do a pulse clinic together in LA, a pulse clinic. That's just the gift on the first day as we start the next round of clinics. We're going to do it there. And that's something I can give, and we'll give home remedies. We'll give diet recommendations. We'll help people with the real problems they have. And that's something I can give, and everyone has something they can give. Arshia is so beautiful. She's giving because she's reaching out, finding all the resources and just giving exactly what she can give, Now, people may think I have nothing to give. Well, you definitely do, because you can go and you can say, what's your name? What's your story? What do you want? You can listen to their heart and just find out more about where they're coming from and what they really want. You can come to the clinic that me and Ralph do. And so I'm just getting the brainstorming juices started, but everyone in the chat, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts about, I see Jody Curtis already gave a suggestion. Maybe we can put backpacks together with a water bottle, a simple first aid kit, toiletries, socks, nuts and fruits. I love Ralph. He's already been given home remedies to people. Even he gave me and Poonam, when we were there, gave us a cool home remedy about what we can drink first thing in the morning that can just help clean out the toxins from our body. What other ideas you have? Whether you're watching on Facebook, you can put it in the chat, or you can put it in the chat here. Ralph, what are some suggestions you have? Some suggestions about simple, practical, actual things we can do that would make a difference?
Just have a conversation with these people, the ones that are coherent, right? I remember when the Buddhist temple I was going to, we would go and hand out food to the homeless in downtown LA. It was always interesting to have conversations with the guys and the ladies about baseball, the sporting, whatever sporting event was going on, the Lakers or the Dodgers, you talk baseball, you would talk fashion with the women, women would talk about, like how they used to cook certain things. I think when you have a conversation with them, the ones that are coherent, like the young lady that I've been assisting, I had a brief conversation with her. I think it was Sunday.
Mm.
I asked her, like, what is it that you really want? And she says, like, I want to rejuvenate my career. She's a professional dancer.
Wow.
She's been to, she's an educated, she's educated, and she says, I want to rejuvenate my career and have a place to live. Those were the two things that she told me, right?
Yeah.
And in entertainment right now, a lot of people in entertainment right now just really, it's it for them. They're dependent on the unions and the AFL-CIO to kind of like help them as much as they can, But when you talk to them, and they're very straightforward with what they want, and they're very sincere when you offer help to them. I've talked to one guy maybe about two weeks ago, long before I ended up out here. He told me he cannot fathom, he can't stay in an apartment very long. He can't stay in a building very long. He's so used to being outside from being in the military that he's claustrophobic being in an apartment. So there's a psychological problem that developed from his experiences in the military, being in the being out on maneuvers or being in a combat situation for a long period of time. When you don't have a dwelling to be in, and when you come back stateside, you can't live in a dwelling.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Even what that young lady who's the professional dancer that's now finding herself on the streets. I love your description earlier, not on this call, but you're talking about when you first were trying to talk to her,
Yeah.
you could sense her distance and her fear.
Yeah.
She was scared, and there was a distance. And then when you gave her money and tried to help her get food and tried to connect with her, then she could see that you were really interested in her benefit, not taking something from her, but to really support her and serve her. And I think, as all of us, there's homeless in almost every city right now, and it feels like the amount of homeless increasing because of COVID, the amount of people getting kicked out of their homes because they can't afford mortgage, the amount of people unexpectedly finding themselves, their family out of jobs and on the streets is so high. And there's a definite element of fear of not feeling held, not feeling taken care of. And so there might be some hesitation for people to share at the beginning, but I think what's beautiful about everyone in this community is you're so full of love, you know, that even just starting by just getting to know people that are struggling and saying, tell me about yourself and what's happening and what do you want and what do you need? And then understanding that some of them are coherent and some aren't coherent. You know, some are having very, very severe situations with, you know, psychological situations, drug situations, and some aren't. You know, some are mothers with kids on the street. You know, so just making sure you're wise about it. You're honoring the intuition inside of your heart, but also that you're leaning into love and also loving yourself in that moment too. So making sure that you have clear boundaries for yourself. There's one person I was just with, she said, boundaries are the distance between which I can love you and myself limitlessly. I'm just going to repeat that again because it's so powerful. But boundaries are the distance by which I can love you and myself limitlessly. So making sure that you're honoring your boundaries, honoring their boundaries, asking for permission to communicate with them, to talk with them. Just because they're in this particular situation doesn't mean this is who they are. And so also honoring yourself and them in a way that you can love limitlessly by having a boundary about how much you're able to help, what you feel comfortable doing. Like that. So I'm reading some of these comments and I'm loving them, Ralph. This is beautiful. I'm just going to read some of these. Carol and Larry says, healing through mariachi. Oh, that's cool. Based on that story. Healing through mariachi. I love that. BN from Toronto says, just our wholehearted time to listen is what we can start giving. And that's really powerful. Jody Curtis says, nutritional education, Marma teachings. Marma, that's really great. Janet says, welcoming in any homeless into our group, giving them our love and support, also teaching them to meditate to start the healing process. Very powerful. Jody Curtis says, maybe we can get flyers printed that just show them all the known resources and support. That's a really good idea, Jody. You know, we have cards where it just says, this is all the support. Maybe we don't even have to create anything new on our own. We just have to point people to where are the best resources that can help them. That's really powerful. Arshia says, pass on the knowledge, help, and let them know help is always available. That's really powerful. You know, it's interesting here I'm in Utah right now. I'm up in the mountains near Park City. Someone gifted me a condo where I can be writing the book too, up in the mountains. And whenever I'm in the city, Salt Lake City, it's amazing because there's lots of homeless people. And sometimes I'll point them towards the resources that are there. Like there's something called the food storehouse where people can go and it's a grocery store and anyone can get food. And when I point them to that, they're actually sometimes they're angry at me that because they just want money, you know, and they can make more money. But I'm like, no, but the resources is there. So then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic. But some people don't know about that resource. Some people know about the resource, but they're still doing what they're doing because they also want the money, which is awesome. That's cool. More power to them. And that's great. They can make more money that way than they could by make more money per hour than working a minimum wage job or something like that. And so they understand that. So some people, even I spent a bunch of time with homeless people with the people who are homeless in Salt Lake, and they were teaching me their strategies for getting money. And it was amazing. I'm not going to go into that right now, but they were so creative. So creative. And it was,
well, I know a professional panhandler. I haven't seen him in years.
Yeah.
This guy has never worked a day in his life.
Yeah. There's some people that are real expert.
Yeah.
He told me, he's like, listen, you look too clean cut. Maybe smear a little bit of mud on your face and then just say, hey, I need a part for my car. It costs $47.27. Can you help me? You know, he's teaching me, he gave me my lines, what I could say. And he told me, there's a couple people with us. He pointed to my friend. He's like, you know, you look like you could really be good at this. He's like, what you can say is, hey, I need some bus money. The bus money costs, you know, $11.57. Can you give me $22? And he's like, it's okay if it's confusing to their brain because you don't need them to understand exactly. Just they can just feel sorry for you. You know, he's
Yeah.
giving all these amazing strategies. I was like, wow. So anyway, there's going to be a lot happening when we intersect in this juncture, and every person is unique. But Dr. Naram, he actually didn't separate people that deserved or didn't deserve. You know, he wasn't ever making that judgment on people. He always had something ready to give, some food for any homeless dog or cat, for any, you know, bird, for any person that came, any child, any adult, any woman, or any man. He says we always should be ready, because Aditi Devo Bhava, you treat the unexpected guest as if God himself or herself has come. So you want to listen closely. So now I'm reading some of these other comments. BN says, well, Janet says, I love that. BN says, we could journal each and every meeting with anyone, as Dr. Ram style. He really did have a journal, which leads to the aim and goal to help them thereafter. So even if you go the first time just to understand, not to help. I actually have another story I want to share, Ralph. Is that okay? I didn't share this story with you before. How much time do you have, Ralph?
I got plenty time.
Plenty of time?
Yeah.
So many people want to go to Africa and help, right? They just want to go to Africa and help the poor African people, right? So I went to Africa and I did something totally different. I went to one of the poorest areas where there's like 4 or 5 children dying per day of malnutrition, of disease. There was no school. It smelled like a sewer. I mean, we had to walk. Actually, this was one of the things I did when I first met Dr. Ram. I realized that when he met the street kids in Dharavi, the slums, in fact, that story is in chapter 18 of the book, he tried to help them and he couldn't help them. Nothing he did could help them. He had to go back to his master and say, I don't know, I feel like I failed, because none of my herbs are helping them. They're coughing, their asthma, their skin is bad. And he's like, nothing I'm doing is helping. And his master says, well, go find out more about them. So he's like, okay, I can do that. Like BN, his suggestion is so good. Find out more about them. So he went and he started to learn more about them and realized, he's like, show me where you live. And he saw where they live. It was horrible. He says, show me where you work. And they showed him where they were earning money. And there was a chemical factory that didn't want to buy machinery to stir the chemicals. So they'd hire these little kids to swim around in the vats of these chemicals to mix them up. You know, it's so unbelievable for most of us to even think this is possible. And they pay them a few cents, a few pennies to just swim around these chemicals. So of course they're getting heavy metal toxins in their body. You know, so first of all, Dr. Om reported that. And then with his master, they found what can help with heavy metal toxicity. It gave them those herbs and help those kids. So sometimes we need to go deeper. When I was in Africa, I remember I was at this place in Uganda. You go along this road called the Jinja Road to this place called Jinja. And I was so amused because I saw this thing called the American supermarket. I was like, oh, cool. I want to go in the American supermarket. So I went in the American supermarket and I bought peanut M&Ms. Okay, so this is definitely not Dr. Ram approved snacks, you know. But I wanted some like familiarity with home. And so I thought, peanut M&Ms, give me comfort food. And I go and I'm so excited to have peanut M&Ms. And there's some guards outside with like guns, you know? And so I just wanted to connect. So I gave the guard some peanut M&Ms and I was so happy. And then all of a sudden this one little dirty street kid came and he held out his hand and I gave him a peanut M&M. Now, 2 friends I was with from Uganda shook their head like, don't do that. I was like, why not? And then suddenly there was 30 kids surrounding me, all pushing, all grabbing, all like this. And then I saw my 2 friends, they were shaking their heads and walking away from me to the car, like, just like you made a mistake, you know? And I didn't know what to do. I quickly counted, there was like 10, 11 peanut M&Ms with 30 kids. And I did something I'm so ashamed of. I'm so ashamed of it, but I just threw the bag in the air. So they ran after it. And then I walked away as fast as I could. And my conscience was like weighing on me. I felt so guilty. You know, I couldn't sleep that night. I was looking at remember the faces of those kids. And like, I was like, is that the best I can do? You know, is that really the best I can do? And I went back and I remember that story of Dr. Naram. And so I just like, I just took a taxi back. I didn't want my friends to go with me because they had a different opinion of the situation. You know? So I'm going through the streets trying to find these kids and I couldn't find them anywhere. And then finally I found one of the kids and I realized he didn't even speak the same language. There's 3 tribes in the north that were starving. And so they were migrating south and then living in the city. And so I finally found a teacher who could translate for me. And I says, can I come see where you live and what you're doing? And so I followed, there was 4 kids by that time. And I followed them, and we walked literally 45 minutes to where they're living, across this train track, through this field, through this really stinky area with all this sewage. And then I saw little kids and the little babies in the dirt crying. I just tried to find whatever my heart was like broken, that any human beings are living in this situation. So then I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And I was like, I don't have much that I can do, but I can listen, So I actually started this project where I found the leader of the area. So there was a leader of the area. And when I first met with him, he says, okay, what are you going to give us? What money are you going to give us? What support are you going to give us? What help are you going to give us? And I said, no, I don't have anything to give you. I have no money. I have no support to give you. I think you have something to give us. He's like, what? We have nothing to give you. These people have nothing in their heads. I was like, no, I think you do. And I actually had brought with me, I had friends from different parts of the world record what is their problem that they're facing. And I said, I have friends from different places in the world. I feel like you gain a lot of wisdom when you go through a big challenge, a big struggle. And I think you have more wisdom than you realize. And I feel like if you can help us, it would be a big benefit. He's like, well, okay, you can go around and ask people, but I don't think they'll have any solutions to your problems. So I started going around and I met this woman named Lucy. And this woman named Lucy had 3 kids. Her husband was horrible and kicked him out, and she's raising 3-4 kids on her own. And the first video was of my friend Joey, who some of you have met. And he says, I don't know how to get money. And I'm graduating from college and I don't know what I want to do. And I'm struggling and I want to figure out how I can earn money. And so then I recorded Lucy sharing this video. And in the video, she's like, Joey, what I think you can do is maybe you can start making beads. And you can make these beads and make necklaces, and you can sell these necklaces. And then all of a sudden you'll start to get enough money, and then you can do what you want to do with your life. And I love that she had this idea. So then I asked her, well, what's your dream? What dream do you have? What's something you want to do with your life? And she said, all I want to do is make sure my children are taken care of, that they can go to a good school and be taken care of. And then I met this girl named Rose. Both her parents died of AIDS, and she was raising 4 little brothers and sisters. And the youngest, who was breastfeeding at the time her mom died, also contracted AIDS. So her littlest daughter, this baby, had AIDS, and raising 4 kids. And she was only like 16, 17 years old. And I was asking her all the questions. One of my friends was actually working on Wall Street and found out that her dad had a disease where he was going to die, had a terminal disease. And she was struggling with life and death. Even though she had all the money in the world, she was saying, how do I work with this transition, with my dad who's about to die? And this little girl, Rose, she just was so powerful in how she was speaking and how she's like offering support and love in that moment in which this person needed help. And that death isn't the end, and that person always lives on in your heart. And then I asked Rose, I says, what's your dream? She says, I want to be a counselor for people that have AIDS. I want to be a help. I want to help my brothers and sisters, and I want to help others in this situation, And then I went to the leader, and another person was asking the question, I wanted to do something to help people that were fighting with each other, that were enemies, how to help them so that they could realize that they're not enemies. He had this whole project, this dream. And I asked the leader of this community, what advice do you have? He's like, and all of a sudden he realized that the 3 tribes up north, they're always fighting, killing each other. But in his community, he created a system where they're at peace. And it's a system where they get to know each other and they serve with each other. So he put them on projects with each other, where then they started serving each other. And he realized, wow, that's cool. And then he also had ideas about how my friend Joey could make money. He says there's hard money and there's soft money. Hard money is money you can loan from others and then you can use for projects. And soft money is your own money. And so you have to use them differently. He was so smart with money. Anyway, I recorded all of this and then I left. And I didn't go back for years and years. And I was feeling so guilty. Like, why didn't I go back? I could have done something to help these people. I could have done something. Anyway, finally, 4 or 5 years later, I went back to this community and I was shocked. It had totally turned around. Before, no one had a job. But this leader had brought in factories that built, and then every man had a job that wanted one. There was a school built. Every child had education. Before, 4 to 5 kids were dying per week. No one was dying. There was a medical care there. I went to Lucy. Lucy, and she was literally, in the time I met her, she was living in such a horrible place. Now she was living in such a nice place, and she had a whole business where she was making beads, making necklaces, and selling them to tourists, and making enough money for her family. Rose, this little girl who is struggling to take care of her brothers and sisters, she had created this genius. She's like, I don't have enough money for education, but I can start to volunteer at places. So she's volunteering at this clinic, learning from the doctors that were helping do counseling. And then she realized the doctors were paying so much money for juice every day. So she says, if I make the juice, will you buy it from me? So she started making money, so much money from making juice for the doctors that she could hire all kinds of people, to make the juice every morning at 5 a.m. So ingenious, so beautiful. And then this leader of the community had a whole thing set up. He had places he could rent to other people, and he had done so much. And the first thing he said when he saw me, he's like, oh, can you help us? I was like, no, I'm not going to help you. We need your help. In America, you can help Obama. I said, this was at the time Obama was president. I was like, there's still people without jobs in America, but everyone here has a job. So you don't need our help. We need your help. And he just laughed and he just nodded like, yeah, actually, we've done a really good job. And it just gave me this peace of mind, that when you really seek to understand someone with an open heart and with love, and you ask them what they want, what are their dreams, sometimes you don't need to do much more than that. Sometimes you don't need to, but also sometimes people do need that kickstart. Every soul has its own journey, but it's just, I love what you said at the beginning, Ralph. This is someone's brother. This is someone's mother. This is someone's child. Like seeing that divine in them and meeting them in that space, and then just allowing the miracle to unfold in whatever way it does. And maybe that's all you do. Maybe it's something more. So I wasn't planning on telling that story, and I haven't told it in a long while, but I hope it's helpful in this context. And I just want to know, Ralph, in your heart, in your mind, as you've been meeting so many people, as you've been on the street, what do you feel like are some of the best? Oh, there's more recommendations from other people I'll get to, but in your heart, what do you feel are some of the best practical solutions that we could do as a community, either in our own community or there in LA?
Well,
oh, I think you're maybe muted. I can't hear you for some reason. Oh, no,
many
you're not. Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you.
I think, like like groups, individual groups they can feed people, they can clothe them, have conversations with them, in whatever community you live, because Los Angeles is a large city. So you have like, you have organizations in Santa Monica that help people, and Studio City or Hollywood. Hollywood is probably the hardest one. I mean, that's like, that's the hardest one, because you have half of the ones that are not coherent and half the ones that are coherent in Hollywood. There are some centers there that attempt to help those people, but they run into, sometimes it turns into a zoo, turns into a fiasco. But just have little pockets in your community, wherever you see someone, maybe offer them some food. It may not be a group of people, maybe one or two people in your community. You see them, maybe cook them a bowl of rice or cook them a meal and give it to them. I've seen, and when I used to live in Chinatown, there was a lady that used to do that. She would see someone that would be homeless, that would be like sleeping at the entrance of the temple, and she would go home and cook them a meal and bring it back to them. One-on-one sometimes is very good, and in a group sometimes it's very good.
I love that.
Depends on where you are, and depends on the circumstances that that exist at that time.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Jody, you had something you want to share?
Yes. Well, I hope this is helpful. I keep being prompted to share these two stories because I lived in and around Hollywood for 21 years. And so I saw a lot of stuff. And then I had some periods where I was very close to being homeless, just like no food and things like that. But, always taken care of. People would come in and so forth. But my girlfriend and I was living with a couple people. We had no food, nothing like that. We decided to do a character, like we were all actors. So we decided we were going to do a character study. And my girlfriend and she was just this gorgeous model. I can't even believe people didn't even look at her, but we dirtied ourselves up and we went out in front of Ralph's grocery store and we had like our hat there, and this is almost like shameful for me to talk about, but at the time we were looking at it like a character study, but in reality we were probably hoping we would get food. But what was most impactful to me is that here we were young girls, we were in our early 20s, and no one looked at us. No one would look us in the eyes at all. Some people would throw change. Some people would make a concerted effort to walk clear around us. I mean, we didn't even say anything. We were just these young girls sitting there looking hungry and dirty. And so that made a huge impact on me. I have never since ignored a homeless person, even if I don't have money to give them. And even still, like I have had friends who say, oh, they give money to a homeless person. Oh, what if, Ralph and I were talking the other day, what if he goes and buys a beer? Well, what if he does? Whatever brings him joy right now, it's just, so I wanted to share that because if there's ever an opportunity to just connect, I think what Clint is saying is so important because they feel unseen and unheard. And they're just as much a child of God as the rest of us. And, and so many are so compassionate. My brother lived on the street for years and years and years, like as a drug addict, a really, really challenging life. And I tried helping him when I could, but if anyone has had an addict in their life, you know how that can go. The other story I wanted to tell was this: every day when I was this young actor and working like 5 jobs, every day I would go to get a cup of coffee at this little place around the corner from my apartment. And every single day, this man would ask me for money, the same guy. And most days I would give him a little bit if I had it. But keep in mind, I had just worked 5 jobs. I was exhausted. I worked all night long. I'm just a single waitress, And so one day when I was walking by, he said, hey, do you have $40 you can spare? And so I had worked a particularly hard day, hard night the night before working. And so I was angry with him. And it caught my attention because instead of asking for $1, he asked me $40. So I stopped and I had this whole big conversation with him. I said, what is your story? Because I just worked my butt off last night and I work myself every single day. What are you doing? It was kind of like that. And I felt, I don't know, it just made me really angry that day. So found out this guy's story was he had been homeless living under the bridge around the corner from my house for like 12 years because he got a divorce from his wife. She wanted alimony or whatever that is, money that you get from the ex. And he didn't want to pay her. So I said, so you're homeless, you're wrecking your whole life for 12 years to spite your wife who probably doesn't even know or care, And I mean, this is my early 20-year-old self-talking guys. So, but this is how I handled it. And he was never there again. He actually went just like Clint said, when I listened to his story and I listened as a person willing to hear his story and give him honest feedback and, kindness and everything else, he changed his whole life around. So I think that is a really important thing, is for these people to be seen and heard. And I think it could create a lot of, even in the ones, Ralph, in Hollywood, the state stopped funding the insane asylum or whatever you call those, where they put
mental institutions.
Mental institutions. So they let them out on the street. They literally brought the buses to Hollywood and let them out. Some people walking from the hospital with like their hospital gown on. So, I mean, I hope those stories made a little bit of, they both impacted me, as did many situations living in Hollywood, things I saw, things I witnessed, people I met. But I've had some beautiful moments with homeless people since that feeling of being in my 20s and not feeling seen at all, where I remember going to 7-Eleven, this homeless guy asked if he could wash my windows for $1. We had a beautiful time and ended up singing a song and doing prayers together. And it was so amazing. So you never know who you're going to meet, Thanks for
So-
letting me share all that. I know it was a lot.
No, that was so beautiful. I see also Carol V. She says, this is big, but I've been inspired by the growing number of communities that are creating tiny house villages for the homeless and for veterans, because there's so many veterans. Janet was talking about that. Lynn shares something so beautiful. Lynn, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself just to share this. It's so powerful, this point, because it's not, I mean, with anything that we're doing, it seems like we're doing one thing, but it's also healing everyone simultaneously, including ourselves. Lynn, are you willing to unmute yourself and share this? So beautiful what you shared. Oh, don't ask me to unmute. She says, don't ask me to unmute. If you can share it. Okay, I'll share it for you, Lynn. She says she's met the most compassionate people who are homeless. They have so much love to give and to share. And most of the homeless people always know that they always give back. Oh, that she always gives back extra to them. They don't take more than what they need. She finds that beautiful. Even in poverty and the homeless that she's met, helping and feeding them, including cats and dogs, it's beautiful. Some of the kindest people she's met at the homeless communities, they are a treasure, in Janet's words. And then she says this, she says, sometimes we tend to see homelessness as only homelessness of places to stay. Sometimes it's also, I feel, homelessness of the heart. And being here today, I'm feeling hopeful and looking forward to this call becoming a trigger to support those who are homeless for want of places to stay, as well as the homelessness of the heart that we find, and that we can find what we're seeking for. We can find that place of home. So the ones who are wanting to find homes will find them, and the ones that are wanting to find homes of the heart and homes of places too can find them. That's so beautiful, Lynn. So powerful, so true. I think that's one of the things about
Should
this
I
community.
should I just also, I think I should put it out in my own voice because I think it's important.
Yes, please.
Especially hearing you, I'm motivated to just put it out in my own voice. And I think some people may not understand my pronunciations, but it's all right. I think like what I really
Lynn, we
do
can
with
understand
this.
your voice and we can hear the vibration of love in every word.
Thank you. I get really emotional talking about homeless communities because for me they're like family, and you know, it's very dear to me, these communities. Like, I've known a lot of love from these communities each time I've interacted with homeless communities, and my experience has been of having received more than I have given. Always, there's always something to learn. There's always a lesson, and like Clint was reading out what I wrote. I have known, I think, the kindest people that I've known. Some of the kindest people I've known are people who are homeless. And there's so many stories that I can share, like so many experiences. It would, I don't know, there would be like a library full of those experiences. But, you know, one that really stands out to me right now is what I wrote in the chat box as well of this old woman. I mean, she really was staying in a very, very tiny place, and she barely had anything for herself. But you know, I would always see her feeding cats and dogs and everyone around her. So even in the little that, you know, sometimes that's available to them, they're always like taking care of other people. And definitely what Clint was talking about as well, like I do feel that homelessness is not just of you know, houses and places to stay, but there is homelessness of the heart. And I'm really excited that all of us are meeting and talking. And like Jody was saying, that, you know, it's important that people are seen and heard. That I do hope that this becomes a trigger and a catalyst for like more people finding homes of the heart, and you know, places to stay as well, like houses. So I'm excited, and thank you for listening to me. I felt like I couldn't keep quiet because, you know, this is something I need to say. So I said it.
So beautiful. Now, Lynn, just to be clear, this picture that's on your profile, this is you?
The picture on my profile is a very dear brother of mine.
Very dear brother.
He passed away some time ago, and we're seeking justice for him. He was killed, and the case is on. So we're seeking justice for this brother. He's also an artist, and he's an engineer, and he's a humanitarian, and many things. He's a scientist. He was also working on creating an app for children's education. He was very much working with homeless communities. He was the kind of person who, would not want to be on camera while he's working with homeless communities. Like, he just did not want to be shot and have pictures of him taken. And I love that about him, that he would just quietly go about,
Yeah.
doing the service that his heart was always called to. So yeah, so that's my brother.
Yeah.
But
So-
he's part of my soul. He's like, we're one heart, one soul, so we're the same in that
Yeah.
way.
Well, Lynn, I know that so many people have been wanting to hear your beautiful voice, even on the last chapter 3, when you were there, when the whole experience happened with Gia, with the
Yes.
autism, ADD, ADHD.
Yeah.
I know so many people contacted me saying, we want to hear from Lynn. How come Lynn never talks? We want to hear her voice. So what a
How you
special
doing?
treat.
It's not that Lynn never talks. I really do. I mean, I'm quite vocal for justice, and those who have heard me know that they say shut up. Like, there are days when I hear the shut up. So it's a myth. It's a myth that I don't talk, and it's a myth. Yeah, like when you see me being activist, you'll see like I talk and how So
Good. Well, we want to hear your voice more and more.
about Gia, you want to hear about Gia?
Maybe on the next
Another day. Another day.
another day.
Yeah.
Because sorry, I wanted to make sure we go back to Ralph. Ralph,
Yes.
anything that Lynn said that resonates with you?
I think everything that she says resonates. I mean, she's hitting it home. She's hitting a home run with everything she said. Love it.
Beautiful. Lynn, you're
Also
hitting
want to say I'm gonna interrupt. Like the credit for what I said goes to the homeless communities and people, because this is their wisdom. I'm just passing it on, like, because I've seen it and I've experienced it. It's like it's all them, So
Yeah.
I thank them.
Beautiful. Well, one thing that I think the solutions are going to come as we've been going into this, even Jaina talking about some of the possibilities where there's enough food for everybody, but maybe the solution's waiting for us to be a part of it so we can heal our own hearts. We can find the home inside of our own hearts, wherever we are, that we don't treat someone as different or someone we can't connect with, someone we can't look in the eyes with. That's not healthy for us, so anytime we can become involved, the biggest gift it is for us, like Lynn had said, and like Ralph is just demonstrating so powerfully for us. And Jaina, can you just speak to anything in your heart, any ideas that have come from this call?
Well, thank you, Dr. Clint. I am just really touched by each one of you. Lynn, thank you so much for speaking so beautifully. I knew of your intelligence and how much value you had because of the posts that you make on the Facebook page and when you're on the calls and you put information in the chat. We really need to hear from you. But each one of you, Carol and Larry, Ralph, of course, and Janet and Jody and Renara, when we were in our group, she had some incredible things to say. Andrea and I have had some great conversations, Arshia and Esther. And I just want to acknowledge Anne and Melissa, who are also on this call. Each one of you guys are bringing up memories for me. Okay, not gonna cry. I didn't realize it at the time because I was so young, but that's what you guys were talking about with connecting with the homeless and listening to their story is exactly what my dad used to do. And I didn't understand it because I was so young and but I think that gives them, gives anybody a feeling of connection and understanding and integrity. And I just really, really appreciate this. Ralph, we love you and we're so glad. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for sharing with me your story and your struggle. And thank you for letting me be there as a listening ear. Just really means a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. So beautiful. I know that you guys have been on this call for quite a while now and just feeling so much love. And now we want to take the love that's touched our heart and put it into some action that we can do. And what if everyone on this call, we just do one thing? And what I'm thinking of, it always helps if there's someone kind of leading and guiding it. And so I would love, Ralph, if you're kind of leading and guiding it, maybe some people can be co-leaders with you, maybe Jody, maybe Arshia, I don't know, but if we can come up with the suggestions from today, and then everyone on this call, just for our own benefit, for our own heart, we do one of those things. So maybe we can work on, maybe some of us are working on creating that pamphlet that then we can print off a bunch of copies and then we can start handing to people in our areas. You know, these are the resources in our area. Maybe that's something you feel inspired to do. Maybe you feel inspired to put together some, I see that, Arshia, that's so cool that you already have some hygiene kits. You know, maybe put together 3 hygiene kits or 4 hygiene kits, but when you hand it to someone, you get to know them. You know, maybe you do that. Maybe you bring water bottles out to people in your area. Or if you don't know any homeless in your area, maybe you contribute to the Ancient Secrets Foundation, ancientsecretsfoundation.org, where one of the big things that we're doing is helping with these projects. Maybe it's buying blankets and giving them to people when it's cold. I just want everyone on this call, think about one thing that you would feel lit up, excited to do, and you can go ahead and put it in the chat. What's one thing that you want to commit to do that in this next week? Let's just say within 7 to 10 days. And then Ralph, how about we get together on another call in about a week or 10 days and people can share what they did and how it went. Does that feel good?
Feels good. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And if you're thinking of your top 3, 4, 5 things that people could actually do that would make a difference, maybe just tell us again, what would those things? Give socks. I know you mentioned that several times.
Talk to them if they communicate with you. Have a conversation with them. You know, one of the things, listen to what they have to say, because sometimes they will initiate a conversation with you. They'll speak to you, and then go from there. You know?
Yeah, beautiful. So even just having a conversation and just knowing where to go from there is beautiful. Even before giving something, just say, I don't have anything to give you. I just want to know you.
Yeah.
I've actually found that one of the most powerful gifts we can give anyone, not just homeless, anyone, is asking great questions. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give anyone on this planet because it gives people a chance to discover inside of themselves what is there, you know, and to be heard and to be seen. It's one of the greatest gifts we can give anyone. Beautiful. Melissa says, I'd like to connect with our organization with the World Central Kitchen. So cool, Melissa. Ralph, Esther's asking the question. I'm just going to ask it because she posted it here. Ralph, would it be beneficial for you to start a GoFundMe just to help you find shelter that gives you stability to further all that you have to give? Would that be a helpful thing for you?
It may be. It may be. Yeah.
Beautiful. So Esther, can you be in charge of that? And you get that set up and we make sure we distribute that and get it set up because we want you to be in a position where you can be stable and that we can continue to help from that place. Arshia says, I will share all the resources for food, clothing, perhaps medical attention, that if they're open at this moment. Cool. I'd like to personally contribute to making that, get it printed. I know we have people in our community that can format it in such a way that we can print off little flyers and we can get those in the hands of anyone that wants to give them. Each city will have its own resources, but at least if we get one format, then people can maybe copy it for their own areas, which would be awesome. Lynn says, I love you all. Thank you. And thank you, Brother Ralph. I love it. Lynn, we're so glad to hear your voice. I see so much love poured in here for you. Lynn says, I want to thank you all. All of your sharing brings homelessness not out there, but in here. It's not someone outside of us, but someone known and someone dear. And I'm really grateful for you all and for all of your hearts. So beautiful. Janet says, I want to contact my local city officials to see what is being done to help the homeless. That's so powerful, Janet. I love that. I'm going to do the same thing. Jana says, I want to connect with people I know who have more experience with working with food distribution, housing, etc. Melissa says, question for all. What would be the ideal relationship with the World Central Kitchen? Does everyone know who they are? Great question. Anyone have any idea? Ralph, do you know who the World Central Kitchen is?
First time I've heard about it.
Yeah, first time I'm hearing about it too, so maybe you'll have to educate us. Jody Curtis says, I'm committed to listening, to understand, seeing, and loving. I have lots of clothes to give, finding local resources to share and compiling them, and acting on all other ideas that come up. I know Sarah Morell in our community, she's just in Oregon right now. She's doing a clothing drive for homeless. And you're amazing. Everyone wants to get rid of their clothes if they have extra. And why not do a clothing drive as well? That's a great idea. All right, I'm going to read a couple more of these as we close. Melissa, oh, she gave a link for the World Food Kitchen. And Melissa, I'm going to copy that and put that in the Facebook chat as well so that people make sure they have that.
I'm gonna check and see about the LA lost, UCLA mobile health van and see if that's still available.
Oh, cool. That's good. That's a good resource to know about. Lynn says, thank you, Janet. Thank you, Clint. Melissa, they have a site in LA and all over the world. So that's cool. The World Food Kitchen has a site in LA. Carol V and Larry, yeah, Carol was thinking about something like Janet said. I want to know what's already being done, how well it is being done or isn't working, and where are the gaps to step in. Esther Francis, and Food Not Bombs is a fabulous resource for feeding people healthy vegetable food. That's cool. Andrea, I currently rescue food and distribute it at the local car wash, but I need to do more. Beautiful. I love that. I currently rescue food. I like that. Rescue the food and distribute it. That's beautiful. Everyone on this call, I love you so much. Thank you for being part of the solution. And then together we'll do something. I feel like it's a seed. I really feel like it's like Esther was saying, it's like we're pulling this little thread and I'm so excited to see where it leads us to. You know, I'm so excited to see what this seed, because the beautiful seed of Ralph's heart, his mind, his intelligence, his genius in so many areas being applied in this. I just think if the one thing we do is support Ralph and whatever comes into his heart, amazing miracles will happen as well. So does anyone have anything else they want to share on this? Anyone want to speak? Melissa or Arshia, Janet, Carol, or Larry, anyone else have anything they want to share? Andrea, Renara, Anne, you can unmute yourself if there's anything you want to share before we close the call.
Dr. Clint, I have one more thing that's coming up. When Ralph and I spoke, he says a lot of the restaurants, and I've known this, they not only do they throw the food away, they actually will bury it in the worst garbage so that the homeless people cannot get it. So I don't know what the laws are, but if they're just, I would be interested myself to discovering how we can change that. Or,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I know nothing about it, but it seems
Yeah.
wrong. You know?
Right now in most places, it's illegal for them to give the food to anyone else, but it should be the opposite. It should be illegal for them not to give the food. Exactly. In fact, I saw that one country made it illegal, like they have to give the food away instead of throw it away. Now I know there's deals with
it's become such a liability issue.
Right.
That restaurants don't want to get sued because that will happen.
It's a liability, but I can tell you, I've been doing it for the past, it's almost 9 years now. I've been rescuing food from Trader Joe's, and I have been
That's great.
giving it out. Yeah, so it can be done. You know, there are ways around things. Trader Joe's, contact your local Trader Joe's. I've been dealing with the same Trader Joe's here in New York. Now, I don't tell everybody what I'm doing. I'm kind of stealth when I do my things because, you know, I have a mission, right? But it's 9 years, and on average, I impact, I would say, at least 100 families a week.
Wow.
Okay, and it's just me and an old van donated by my ex-husband. We're not a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wow.
it can be done. And
That's
the
so
car
cool.
wash is the latest place because those guys make what, $4 or $5 an hour. And we have an arrangement. I show up close to knockoff time. I put the food out there, and we have an agreement. They're not going to leave the box and the food there to attract vermins, right? That's all that's required. So it can be done. Contact your local Trader Joe's. If you have serious people who are willing to commit, even if you don't have a big cargo van, if you can haul some bags of breads and whatever, cans, okay, maybe not cans because that requires tools to open, but breads and fruit. Trader Joe's, I've been doing it for all these years.
So, you know, Trader Joe's is the sister company to Aldi's, right? And
Oh,
Aldi's
really?
and Trader Joe's are owned by the same family. It's the wealthiest German family in
Right.
Germany.
Yeah, the two
So-
brothers. Yeah.
You're
Starbucks,
right. They have a huge network.
Yeah.
Starbucks is another one that has a lot of food. They give out, I mean, they throw away boxes of sandwiches every night.
Yes,
Every-
even Costco. I contacted Costco years ago when I started. They wanted to give me mainly bread, and I was like, okay, thanks, but I couldn't handle the amount of bread. With Trader Joe's, I get a bit of everything. I get everything. Trust me. Even flowers, I drop off flowers, bouquets. You name it.
Aw, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Are you,
So
do you go to the one in Union Square?
no, I
In
can't tell
Brooklyn?
you which. I
All
can't.
right,
tell-
that's okay. Sorry, sorry.
I can't tell you which one I go to, but I'm just letting you know, if you are committed, go to the one nearest you and speak to the manager and ask how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
beautiful.
all I'm saying to you.
And
When
it
it's
can
not
be any,
something,
and it
yeah,
can be any grocery store, but what you're demonstrating is it's possible. And you don't need a
Yes.
big organization, and you don't need a lot of support. You just need a heart that's committed. That's so cool, Andrea. You inspire me. It's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I see, Renara, you had tried to unmute yourself. Is there something you wanted to share?
Well, we shared yesterday with Jana and we had some ideas, but I wanted to ask Ralph if it's possible to, for example, to make the Zoom concert for all of these people
Yeah.
and just for them, you know, and to offer them their personal music for each of them.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
I'll
really
see if I can contact a young lady that's a dancer, see if she'd be interested in it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
Well,
let you know
yeah,
if
it
she's
will be really, I can do that every day, you know, if it's
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
And just when I'm back from Canada,
That's so
I don't
awesome.
have the instrument there.
This is such
Okay.
it's such a beautiful, powerful example of giving a gift that you have, and what a powerful, life-changing, unexpected thing for someone to get
Yeah.
their own song communicated directly to their heart. And because Ralph also, because he has the experience as a musician, it's one of his talents. I also was thinking, what if we get musicians together and we do some fundraising event, or maybe the different homeless people have musical talents, or some artistic talent, or something that we can demonstrate, highlight in some way. So I really love that you brought that in, Renard. Very powerful. Good. All right. Anyone else have anything any questions, anything they want to share? Arshia, anything else that you want to share?
Oh, I'm just grateful to all of you. It's just such a wonderful call. Thanks to Ralph, you know, what a mission you have, and you're going to distribute this knowledge to everyone, which is very important. And as dear Lynn said too, you know, it's heart to heart. People need on that understanding, that compassion, and then, you know, everything else is available, food, clothing. Only thing that I was concerned that I've been making this call for the past 5 months, trying to find another, you know, project and help. And unfortunately, people in charge never contacted me back and never asked for help. That's sad. That's a sad part. And there are so many other organizations that are not well known and they're ready to help. So I hope we can, you know, have a solution for this gap. Someone like, you know, so many organizations trying to help and they can't. And the ones that are capable, they won't reach out because it's an extra job for them.
Yeah.
So
That's a really good point. So we have to navigate through many things. I like Andrea says, there's a way. You
there's
know,
a way.
That's
Correct.
maybe that's our slogan for this call is there is a way. And
Yes.
how about we set the next call for exactly 1 week from today at the same time? Ralph, does that work for you? So next Tuesday, June 15th at 12 noon Pacific? That feels good? Okay, I see him nodding. So what we'll do is we will have our next call 1 week from today. Everyone can do something. Maybe it's just contacting your local places and finding out what exists. Maybe it's making a pamphlet. Maybe it's reaching out to a grocery store. Maybe it's just finding some homeless people and just connecting with them heart to heart, finding out their name, finding out their story, finding out what do they want. So there's a lot of things that we can do. And I am just so excited. I know that Dr. Naram is behind such a big part of this, and who knows what is the Aditi Devo Baba, but to be able to do this kind of a seva, I'm so tempted to read this section, but there was this part where Dr. Naram, on the last clinic day that we were there, he said, we went out, this was the last day in India, we went out and we were distributing blankets on people. And we saw Krishna go across the street and place a blanket on a sleeping homeless woman and her children. And Dr. Ram sighed and told me, I want Krishna to know that the greater a man is, the more humble he should become. People don't come to me from around the world because I'm a great doctor. They come because I love them, because I understand them, and because I find solutions to their burning problems. When I see Krishna do this work with so much love, I feel so proud. I realize I don't have to worry about him anymore, as he knows there is no better blessing than when you can really love and serve people who are in need. I'm just going to read that last sentence one more time. There is no better blessing than when you can really love and serve people who are in need. So I love you. I'm with you. So excited to meet with you next Tuesday. Any final words, Ralph?
No final words. I just appreciate everyone's desire from their hearts to really reach out and help people in their community. That's about it.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, Esther, we're looking forward to seeing that GoFundMe as part of what you're creating. Carol, Larry, any final words, anything you want to share?
Okay. No, you're talking.
I like the brainstorming. I think good things are already here and more good things are coming.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Carol, you don't have to talk because Larry just said something so beautiful, but
I'm so used to talking. I think my big gift is to not talk much right now.
Thank you. Well, so glad you're on this call. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, and I just want to thank you, Clint and Ralph, and all the people who've shared their inspiring stories about how they've been doing Seva. Okay, I talked. I am very grateful to everyone here.
Beautiful. Thank you both. Janet, any final thing you want to share?
I'm just so inspired by all of you, your wide open hearts, and just the seva that you're giving is just going to help the community so much. And Brother Ralph, we are all with you. We are living with you in your heart. I hope you feel that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Janet. Wow, so beautiful. Esther, any final thoughts?
Well, a new word came to me recently, which is blessinger. And I feel that we are all called to be blessingers, and that prayer that may we be blessed to be a blessing in the way that is just most beautiful, fitting, unique, where our gifts can flow out and benefit for all beings. So that's thank you, everyone.
You make such a good blessinger, Esther.
Thank you, as you do, and we all do. What a community. I just feel so blessed to be part of this community. I can't contain it.
So beautiful. Melissa, any final thoughts you have that you want to share? Yeah, any final thoughts?
Oh, I'm just sort of thinking like in a systematic kind of way, like what would be the most bang for the buck, and I've worked with World Central Kitchen before in different capacities. So I was trying to actually find a contact on my database that I might be able to email and talk to you about it.
Great. Well, that sounds like a good thing to do. I can't wait to hear the report on it next week. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. Jody Curtis, any final thoughts?
I'm just really happy to be helping in any way that I can, and just grateful, like, to be a part of this community. So grateful. I've learned so much, and I love you all very much.
So beautiful. Love you. All right, Andrea for Humanity. Any final thoughts?
Yes, I just want to thank you, Dr. Clint and Jana, for being open to all our conditions. And Ralph, I want to thank you for trusting and sharing your condition with Jana and Dr. Clint, because we wouldn't have known about this. I had just emailed you in May, and we were exchanging some homework, and you were sharing your books with me. I had no idea this was about to unfold. And you have so much to offer to the world. I mean, as you spoke, my head just started lighting up. It's just started lighting up, and I look forward to going to sleep to see what will be revealed in terms of ideas. I think this is such incredible blessing. My God. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
So beautiful. Thank you, Andrea. Renara, any final thoughts you want to share?
You know, this call today, it is like about me and about us. And I can recognize myself sometimes to make maybe the same about what Judy said, you know, when I didn't know how to help, or which have to be the behavior, and prefer don't take the same street, you know. And and what I know absolutely, that is every homeless, it is me, you know, it is me. I created him also, you know, so, and that's why he's at my way. But I don't know every time how to deal with that. With some of them, it's naturally and even joking and speaking, and with some people, sometimes I prefer don't. So I'm very thankful for this call, because actually this call, it's about me.
Oh, Renara, thank you for feeling so deeply and for recognizing the calling in your heart. And so beautiful. This call is about you. In fact, we should, Ralph, should we tell her the surprise now? We actually created this call for you, Renara. Surprise. And it really is. It's for you, for all of us, so much. We think we're here to help someone else, but actually it always comes back tenfold. The blessing is there. And even we may not know how to start, but just start with one thing this week, one thing you can do. And thank you, Renara, so much. Love you and with you. Yeah. All right, let's go to Lynn. Lynn, any final thoughts that you want to share?
You want me to speak more?
Yes, we love hearing your voice.
Okay. No, just I actually get really speechless, and I have to sort of, yeah, it's just like I need a hug and I need to hold myself right now. So I'm just gonna do that because, like I said, I get very emotional. Like for me, like all this is my family, and sometimes it's hard to talk, and I get really emotional. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I'm going to give myself lots of hugs once this call ends. I'm giving you all lots of hugs. And I would just love to hear, Brother Ralph, if there's anything more you would like to share, if there's anything, I just love to hear you. If there's anything.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you, Lynn. We're so glad to hear your voice. We're going to go to Ralph in just a minute.
Take your
Jana,
time.
okay. Jana, anything, final thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I do. You know, this is maybe I should rephrase this. I was going to say this can be a really hard topic, but just even the unfolding of this, it shows that it's not a really hard topic. It's just a matter of connecting. You know, I think the thing that has been so amazing to me over the last, few days is the number of people that have experience in some way or another in this area. There's so many resources out there, and all we have to do is just reach out and talk with a few people, and little things matter. Just like the hygiene kits that Arshia is providing. I mean, those little teeny things make a huge difference. Yeah, I have a resource that I'm so grateful that I connected. I have no idea how we got together, but he has a lot of experience in this area, and he feeds a lot of people every single week. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to get the information. I know that we're a little bit, it's, too premature for what we're doing, but there are so many people out there that really have a lot of experience with this. So just ask. They'll come forward. They want to help. They want to share because this is their passion as well. But you guys are amazing. I'm so grateful. So grateful to be a part of this. Thank you.
So beautiful, Jana, and so grateful for that. Little things make like big doors swing on little hinges. Have you ever heard that saying before? I just heard it. Yeah, big doors swing on little hinges. So who knows that one thing you do, what it will unlock in your life, what it'll unlock in your life, and what this will unlock in all of our lives. Those who are part of the 100-day course, it's a very powerful lesson on all of this. The reason why I know we're ready for this now is because it's here, because Ralph had this beautiful gift of giving us this experience of joining with him. Dr. Naram, he would send me clients, like when I was in Germany the first time, and he would send me Marma patients. I didn't think I was ready. And, he sends me people with back pain. I don't know if I can help with that. And I did, and I was so happy. And he sends me people with frozen shoulders. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. And I did, and I was so happy. Then he'd send me people who are paralyzed in wheelchairs or crutches. And then I was like, oh man, let's go back to the back pain. I was like, I felt comfortable there. But then it arose and the moment was there and we step into it. And then we realized we're capable of many more things than we realized. And when I did that, and the man who was paralyzed for 3 years was walking across the room, and his wife was in tears, and the doctor was shocked. And, I just went into the other room and I just said a prayer, and I just said, thank you, God, that this ancient science exists on the planet. Thank you, it's been preserved. And such a big part of it is this that we're doing on this call now. So now is the time. Now is the time for each of us to step in. And in this week, we can find 5, 10, 15 minutes, an hour to do one thing, and then come back on next call and celebrate what we've learned, what we've discovered, what's happened. Ralph, final words for you.
Well, just let the knock of love that knocks on your door, open up your heart and let it in.
That's so perfectly said. Well, I love you and I'm with you. If you guys want to unmute yourself and just say, I love you and I'm with you.
I love you.
I love you, Dr. Clint. Love you, Carol. Love you, Ralph. Love you, Janet. Love you, Melissa. Love you, Ann. Love you, Esther Francis. Love you, Arshia. Love you, Jana. Love you, Nara. Love you, Jody. Love you, Lynn.
Love you all.
Andrea.
Love you, Andrea.
I love you and I'm
I
with
love
you.
you, and
Andrea,
with
you're
you.
I'm with
amazing.
I love you and I'm with you.
See you soon, Ralph.
Melissa, I'm getting in touch with you. You too, Janet. Love you, Dr. Clint and Jana. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you for this. God bless
Thank
you
you
guys
so
always.
much. Thank you.
Love you all. Thank you.
Love you all.
Love
I love you all. So those watching this recording or watching on Facebook Live, we love you. We invite you to join us live on the Zoom call next time if you want. If you're watching this recording, find one thing to do this week. Just find something, just for your own soul, for your own benefit. And as a way to just say, thank you, Dr. Naram, for introducing us to this ancient science. Thank you. So many people have been given their whole life back. Disease disappears, you know, so many things happen. And then what do you do with your life while you have it? I don't think there's anything better. I mean, this is one of the top things we can do is service, and service brings fulfillment. Service brings love. So serve, discover that love. Ralph, say that one more time. How did you say that? That was so beautiful. I just want to hear it one more time. Let me.
When love knocks on your door, open up your heart and let it in.
Yeah. When love knocks on your door, open up your heart and let it in. I love you. I'm with you. Thank you, Ralph. See
Okay.
you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Namaste.